In today's video, we will talk about this parameter in Java. So, in Java, when you create an object, as you know, each class has some variables, right? So, let's look at an example real quick so you get the idea what I'm talking about. So, in the last video, we made an student class. So, this is our student class which we made last time, and here it has three instance variables. So these variables are called instance. They will be available for each object, and these are functions, right? So these are functions which are the member functions of the class. But for now I'm focusing on these instance variables, right? These are available for every object. So when we create an object, for example here we created an object of student class. So as soon as we created this student object, s1 object, memory was allocated. So you can imagine uh, a box like this was allocated called S1, which had name, registration number, and GPA. All these are empty for now. You can imagine that these members are empty since we haven't assigned them any values. Then I created another object called S2. Then S2 was created, which had these three data members, but for now they don't have any values. They will be assigned later. For now, they are empty, right? So they are empty for now, and then I called s1 dot enter data. So let's look at the enter data function. So what enter data does, it basically assigns the value to the instance variables. In this case, for example, here I am assigning values to all three instance variables, right? I can assign to a single instance variable or two or three. It's up to me. So I have chosen to assign all these input values which will come from the test class or the main function. They will be inputted into these instance variables. As you can see, I'm assigning the value to these instance variables. So this is what I'm doing, and I'm doing the same with the s2 object. So now my objects will look like this. So now I have got s1 a name and registration number and GPS. Similarly, s2 has its own. See, the main thing that they share the same variables, but each variable have different value. Each object has different values. For example, here we have jake13 for s1. This is stored into s1, and in s2 we got jake24. Actually we got let me look here. Yeah, we got adam here. So if I erase it, we got Adam, not Jake. So here Adam will come, since this is my second object, and here I put in. So now we have these variables, right? So these are our variables of each object. So my S1, I'm repeating again, has these three variables which I have assigned to S1, and S2 has these two. Now these are the current instance variables of S1. For example, these values can't be assigned to S2. S2 values can't be assigned to S1 since they are the instance variables of S2. And let's talk about this parameter. So what is this parameter? So this parameter basically refers to the current object, right? So if I call this dot name, it means that assign the value to the calling object, the object that is calling, right? So let's see here. Uh, let's see, we have some local variable, right? Any variable, and if we do this just some variable, it's basically means that I am assigning the value of object, current object, and I am assigning it to this variable. Let me show you with an example. So instead of writing these variables directly, I can do this as well. This dot name, this dot registration number, and I can do the same here. This dot GPA, right? And I can do the same here as well. Uh, if you have only one object, if your color object is a single object, and you don't have to use this, it will work out fine without using this parameter. But I will show you when you must need to use the this keyword. So here I have only one color object. So here in my first case, my object is s1. As you can see here, it is only s1. So therefore it will simply assign all these values to current instance variables, right? Since there is only a single object. So basically, this means that this means that assign, assign, for example, suppose our color object is S1, right? So here it basically means that assign the n variable to the current name variable of the s1 object. So I am basically assigning, like, let's look at here. I am basically assigning Jake to the name variable, which is the instance of s1, not s2 or any other object. So this is basically telling our compiler that it is the instance of the current object, the calling object, right? It is the instance of s1 and it is the s2. Now let's look at when we must use this, right? So suppose you have a function, right? You have a function, it doesn't return anything, and it I'm gonna call it sum, right? I'm calling it sum for now. I'm keeping it simple, and it takes another object as a parameter. Now we have to pass object as a parameter, right? How we do that? To do that, you simply have to type the class name here, student, right? And then you have to go to the next line, and you have to create an object. So I'm gonna call it like student s. Now what I have done, I have passed the student s, or let's call it other, right? So other seems more convenient. You will see what I'm talking about now. uh, Now we will see the use of this and other in detail, how they work. So here is the sum method, right? So remember one thing, now we will deal with two objects, right? uh, One will be our caller object, through which we can call this sum method, right? Since you can't call this method without an object. And the other is the method which other is the object which will come as a parameter. And remember, it is an object, and it is not a variable, it is an object of the student class, right? It is an object of the our current class. So you must remember that this is an object. So let's so what it does, it basically, let's change the return type to int, or let's change keep it to white. It basically calculates the it basically sums the GPA of two students, right? This doesn't seem practical for now, but for now let's get the concept. So let's create a new variable called sum. It is local to this function only, available in this function only. And in sum, I'm gonna do this dot GPA plus other dot GPA. So why I have done this, what I'm doing, I'm adding the GPA of the caller, GPA of caller plus GPA of the parameter object. So it is adding the GPA of one object into with another object. So in the end, I'm gonna simply print the sum. You can return it as well, but for now, GPA of, or let's say GPA is plus sum, or I shall say combined GPA, since I am combining uh, the GPA of two students. So this is what I was trying to illustrate. So let's create let's call the object. So we can call any object, we can either call it with s1. We have already these objects created, so I'm gonna get rid of the print data function since we don't want to print data. So you can call it with either s1 or s2. I'm gonna call it with s1. So now my s1 is this. Now my s1 is this variable, this dot GPA. It is, this means the current caller object. So now my s1 is this is stored into this parameter, and I'm gonna call the what was it called again? Sum. Yeah, I'm gonna call sum, and into it I must pass another object. Since I have already created an object called s2, now I'm gonna simply pass it. So let's run our program, see what happens now. So as you can see, we got combined GPA is 7, which is perfect. Since here, as you can see, the GPA of S1 is 3 and GPA of S2 is 4. So we got our GPA calculated perfectly. So let's see what happens. So I passed the GPA. I passed the called the GPA with some function. So my this dot GPA was, since it refers to the current instance, it was one. Sorry, three. As you can see here, it was three. So now my this dot GPA is three, and I'm passing the parameter other. And here my other was my other was 4, so here I got 4, right? So I got GPA of two objects, right? Two different objects which are not related with each other in any way. So I got GPA of both of these thanks to this function. And then here I'm saying that add this dot GPA, that is a GPA of S1, and add it to the GPA of S2. So here other is my other parameter. So you can call it any thing you want, but it is usually referred as other. And simply I'm printing the GPA. Similarly, you can do other stuff, like you can assign you can assign values, or you can you can print GPAs of both. So I'm gonna simply print that. I'm just saying that. Uh, Here I will say that this dot name. So now I am also printing the name. Name is name of, or let's make it more clear. I'm gonna say that uh, my student one is plus. Here I'm gonna uh, say this dot name, right? Since it refers to the name of the s1 variable, and here I'm gonna say student 2. This is just basic concept illustration, and here I'm gonna say that other dot name. So let's run our program, see what happens now. So let's run it, and as you can see, we got that student 1 is Jake and student 2 is Adam, which is perfectly what we inputted here, Jake and Adam, as you can see here. And uh, and what you can also do, you can also return sum instead of printing. This is just returning values. You are already familiar with methods, so I'm returning sum. So this is the how we pass objects to function. And that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching.